everybody. In this video, I wanted to talk about the real world implications of how market analysis can be used to predict what's going to happen with the rise of this cryptocurrency. And I'm gonna just I had a whole video set out and I uploaded it and it got deleted and I'm upset about it, but it's okay because I learned from it, so now I can make a quicker one, so it'll be easier for you. So when people talk about wealth distribution, right, what they're talking about is they're talking about the way that over time, the wealth will travel up and down and between classes, right? These are classes. It will go up and down depending upon, sorry about that, depending upon if the population is to increase. Now, what most people know is that the population is in, the billions of people. So if we look, this is what is called a mean. This is an average. So if we look at what, this looks like in reality and in relation to what we have today, with relationship to, a dollar bill, plus for also, the number of people that are alive, this is what the pyramid looks like today. And so what we can glean from this is that the top 1% of all the wealth in the world is located at the very tippy top of this long triangle, okay? And in previous market analysis, what we know is that when these kinds of things happen and the wealth is concentrated all the way up here and it's all spread out, it will cause a inverse relationship such that eventually it will break. And when it breaks, the wealth has subsequently been redistributed back into the lower classes. So this wealth has gone down. And if you look at this graph, let me see if I can erase. Whatever. So ignore that. But if you look at this graph, oh my goodness. I got to get a better program. Obviously, this one is not optimal. Brush. Okay, here we go. So if you look at this graph, this is where the money is in the top 1%, but there's no money down here. So what we're going to begin to see is this money slowly start trickling down. So what the implications here are, I'm going to close this and I'm going to, don't save, and I'm going to reopen it so we can have a, no. I'm going to open it again and so we can have a fresh look. Open with, there we go, paint. And then, sorry, I'm like extremely tired right now because of how much effort I put into that video and it got deleted. But regardless, so what this broader implication is that, right now, this is what wealth looks like, okay? And pretty soon, we're going to see wealth turn into something like this. And so the 1% has now expanded. And then after that, we're going to see something like this. The 1% has expanded. And after that, we're going to see something like this. The 1% has expanded. And it is going to continue in this inverse relationship for the foreseeable future of time. In that, from now on until the next economic cycle that will happen inevitably because of how markets work, which neither you nor I will ever be here to see. Imagine if we are the people gold mining in the 1600s and the gold is about to have a rush, right? And so this wealth distribution will slowly be given bit by bit back into the broader, people, because we have now scaled the wealth to the number of people. We have what we have done. All right, there has to be a way I can do this. I'm a smart person. We're gonna just. Oh wait, I can just spam this. Okay, word. So conversely, if you would like to look at it from the opposite angle, we are going to see how this 1% is going to rise. And so because Einstein predicted that eventually we would be doing things at the speed of light because light travels so fast, and now that we can now convert currency at the speed of light, it will continue to increase infinitely. So one more time, I'm sure this makes sense now. You can understand the relationship, right? The inverse relationship of wealth to um, population. So, and the reason this makes sense, and I know it makes sense to the people watching this video, is because this population number is only in 7 billion. And it's not going to be exponentially growing because we have made it so that such that, people can no longer grow exponentially as fast as technology. Technology will now forever grow exponentially faster than the rate that people will reproduce, right? So what we're talking about in the long term is, doomsday. What's that movie called? Terminator, right? They figure out how to go back in time or whatever, and eventually, in thousands of years or hundreds of years, computers will eventually take over. Take over such that the amount of wealth, right, or such that the amount of, power, if you want to put it that way, because wealth at the end of the day is power, right? It will eventually supersede the number of people that exist in the world because of this inverse relationship. So so this is what Terminator looks like. So this is the end of the world. Human beings are no longer, prevalent. We've died out as a race. The computers exist. There have been so many computers in existence that it's like Adventure Time. Watch the show Adventure Time. Like, it's the post-apocalyptic future in which computers have taken over the world. But people don't understand that this doomsday scenario in the time of 1980, when those movies came out, was predicting something that would happen many, 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 many years in the future. So not like in any of our lifetimes. Probably after we are even here to know it's existing. Not that, I definitely will not be here and you will not be here, but the human race will have died out at that point. So we don't even have to worry about, the distribution of wealth, because if humans stop reproducing, which that won't happen, right? That's never going to happen. So we're kind of basing on two assumptions. We're basing that, humans will continue to grow exponentially. We will continue to reproduce. And likewise, wealth will continue to exponentially grow. So these are the assumptions we're making when we say this. And so the doomsday scenario that people describe about Terminator and about the takeover of the future or the computers or whatever is what happens when this starts to decline. And so now, the number of people who have reproduced, the amount of population in the world, is on the negative. So we are no longer reproducing. And I'm not saying that human beings will never not reproduce. I'm just saying that at some point when the world ends, correct? We know it will end eventually. It will crash into the sun. At some point, the human being population will no longer exist. If we can figure out how to live somewhere else than Earth, then we will be able to continue to live to exist. And I do believe that it's not surprising to think that, depending on how our, climate system goes and how research goes, we will eventually not live on Earth because it is no longer an inhabitable place to live. But the technology of space travel and the technology of, space, research will have made it possible for people to live not on the Earth. That's just not possible right now. So the point, I mean, that's a whole bunch of rambling, but it's just important to note because it explains some things. So I had to make sure I'm recording. So one more recap here. Whether or not you believe these doomsday scenario ideas, whether or not you believe anything I'm saying, this is just the mathematical analysis of what's going on here. Okay, so the point of this is just to show you that if you happen to be here right now, right, and all of the money in the top of the world, all this is an incomprehensible amount of money. We cannot even imagine how much money this is. We don't have the capacity to do it. Our brains don't, right? So if all of this money, and we're here, right? If we put our money here, if we put our money at the top, if we invest what we have now into, what we predict to be the 1% in the future, eventually we will see a return on investment. We will see how our money will trickle back down into our grasp. And before we know it, we'll have so much money coming back into us, right? We'll have so much money coming back into us that we will be in the 1%. Because if you're smart and you want to be in the 1%, you would take this money and then you would shove it back into the top. And you would continue to grow your portfolio so that you will be able to have even more money. And that's and so this part is when people say diversifying your assets. Once you have liquid money, once you have XRP, the most, ubiquitous source of liquidity, once you have that, you can start to build up your actual assets, which, as we know, are real estate, stocks, precious metals, jewelry. So by buying, I'm trying to make it clear that by signing up for the train ticket, by paying the entry fee, you are preparing yourself for a rapid redistribution of wealth. Okay. So I think I made this as clear as I can make it. If it's confusing, I mean I'm happy to talk about it more if you are curious. Now, and the reason I'm telling you this, the whole reason of, this 1% rule, right, is because the reason I am telling you, although I am not a financial advisor, I don't have a background in financial advising, I do not have a job financial advising. The reason I am deciding to tell you this information is because it will allow you to see why I have chosen to put all of my money, all the money that I have, into what I predict will be the 1%. It is the currency that will eventually become the dollar. Because, as we discussed in another video, XRP is the fastest on demand source of liquidity, value of a dollar, than any of the other assets that exist in the market of today. These ones, the thing that people get confused, and this is why mainstream media is trying to confuse you. They want you to believe, right, that these coins are going to have, they're going to be worth something, and they will be. But none of these coins will be as worth as this coin, because this coin is the coin that will turn into this coin. XRP will be the coin that turns into the US dollar. Or let me rephrase that. The US Monetary Fund is going to place all of the US dollars onto the US dollar coin, right? The US dollar coin. And then we will see a return on our investment because of the redistribution. The redistribution. Oh my goodness. Someone's got to. Okay, wait. Select. Delete. Okay, no. I'll just don't save. So this dollar that is projected to be the currency with which that will become the equivalent of one of these dollars. This is you. This is you with your $500, $1,000, $20, $30, whatever amount of money you have. It doesn't matter. Whatever small amount of money you have, you're putting it into the 1%. Right before the trickle happens. Okay. I think I rehashed this enough. I think if you rewatch this video, you'll be able to understand the implication here, and why, if you can follow along with this mathematical analysis, that by investing in this cryptocurrency, by investing in the dollar of tomorrow, the dollar of tomorrow, I'll say it one more time, the dollar of tomorrow, you are putting yourself at a severe advantage than anybody else who is putting their money into the dollar, these coins that will not be the dollar of tomorrow. They will simply be assets just like gold. They will appreciate over value, right? And it will appreciate very quickly. But people are going to think that they should keep reinvesting in these, but in reality, they should be reinvesting in the dollar of tomorrow, otherwise known as XRP. Okay. Yep. So now I understand. Explain the 1% rule, why we're putting our money in XRP, what we could potentially see happen, and yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to cover. So thanks for listening. Smash like and peace.